Good morning, this is Nik the Booksmith. Welcome back to my channel. And as promised, I have a fun little project to share with you guys today. And I hope it's something that you can use. I hope it's something that maybe sparks your inspiration, your creativity, and helps you with embellishing, whether you make journals or cards or scrapbooks or albums or jewelry or mixed media art, whatever it is that you'd like to do. I hope that this is something that interests you. Okay, so I had noticed I was in the, it was the floral department, and I happened to be at Walmart at the time, and I was looking through, you know how they'll have like little bags of things like flattened marbles and driftwood and shells and that kind of stuff. You can buy bags, and you can either use them in floral arrangements, or you can fill up like like glass candle sconces to set your pillars in. So anyway, I came across some sea glass, and this is not real sea glass. This is man-made tumbled glass, but it's still sea glass. Some of you may live in an area where you have access to the real thing, and that is so cool, and that would be awesome, and would just take this to the next level, right? So, but let me show you what we're going to do today with, this is just I didn't get this at Walmart. I actually got it at, I took all the pretty pieces out. I got this at Pier 1. It was like $7, so $7.95 for a big old, I mean, it's a pretty good sized bag. You can probably get this cheaper, but the reason why I didn't get it at Walmart is because they all looked like this. Let me see if I can, do you see that honeycomb pattern kind of inside that glass? So all of the white pieces, unfortunately, all of the, not white, I guess, all of the clear pieces, no matter where I looked, had that weird honeycomb pattern. And I just don't think that looks, I don't know, I don't like the way, well, you'll see when we finish this project, I just don't like that effect. But alternatively, the other colors were fine. They did not have that honeycomb pattern in them. They were just a nice flat, like frosted glass, just tumbled glass. So I took out all the clear pieces with that funky thing, and I'm just using the pieces that are just nice, clear, and flat. So let me show you a little bit of an example of what we're going to be doing today. And if you can see behind this sea glass, there is some text, and then there is some silver around the edges. And we're going to be making these little guys, and I'll show you at the end of the video some things that I'd like to do with them. So let's set this aside. And so what you're going to want to do is get some sea glass, and it can be the real thing, or you can go to a floral department at Walmart if you don't mind the honeycomb. Pier 1, I've seen it on Amazon. I'm sure Michael's, Joann's, all those places. Well, no, not Joann's. So Joann's, my Joann's at least, only had like chunks of sea glass. They weren't flat. And you want the flat pieces. You don't want something that is like a big, you know, chunk of something. You want these flatter, thinner pieces. So, and pick out the colors that you like. They will be covered with glass dust. So have a damp rag so that you can wipe them off. And be careful, because the man-made stuff, well as well as probably the real stuff, some of it is not as smooth on the edges as other pieces, and so don't cut yourself, because at first glance it looks like it's all nice and smooth, but you can see where there's definitely some sharp spots. So take care with that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick out a few pieces, and I'm going to pick out one of each color. I've got this pale aqua. Which one do I want? Oh, this one's kind of cool. Oh, I like this one. Okay, So this pale aqua, and I'm just going to make sure that all that glass dust is off of it. And let's pick out one of the greener pieces, and let's pick out, I don't know, this funky long one. Oh, there's that guy. I may change my mind on that. I'm not totally hip to be square on that one. And let's grab one of these bright blue ones, or a couple of them. That's what's so nice about this sea glass, is that it comes in all kinds of shapes. And so whatever image you want to put behind it, you can pick out a piece that will go with. So I'm going to clean up those for now. And then what I did previously is I took just some cheap white tissue paper and I've printed some images on them. And I don't have very many stamps and I don't have many colors of ink. But if you do, you can go to town on this. I've just done some simple, just some text and some florals, and there's a raven and there's some music. And so anyway, so that's what I did. Also, I collected just a piece of dictionary paper, and this is the real thin, almost tissue-like dictionary paper. It's not the newer, thicker stuff. This is a, 80-year-old dictionary, and it's real tissue-like. So this will work. If you have some beautiful tissue paper, this will work too, something that is already printed. I suggest not using something too complicated. So if you did that, and if you see under there, you wouldn't even know what that was. So you would pick a less complicated part of your image to put behind, and it looks so much better if it's not, it'd be a mess if you tried to do it in a real graphic spot. Another thing I've got is, and I've scanned these, so no worries. These are actual pages from an 1882 Godey's Ladies magazine, and look how cute that would be. And you don't even have to have all the image in underneath the glass. You can just use part of the image. Oh, I just think that'd be so pretty. But there are some, let me find it. There are some beautiful faces of some ladies and some super cute, like little kids pictures. So, yeah, so we might use some of these. Isn't that pretty? Wouldn't that be, oh, it's just so pretty, just behind some glass. I don't know. Anyway, so we're gonna think about that. We'll do a few, and then hopefully your wheels are now turning. And let me show you just kind of the premise of what I'm going to do. So I've got some brown ink, and the different colors of sea glass it's gonna mute whatever you put behind it. So you want something pretty simple as far as your image, and you want a nice bright or dark image to put behind it, or you won't be able to see it. So I've done a lot of examples, and I figured we'd just check some out and see what it looks like. So I kind of like this. This is like a little sea fern, and you don't have to go nautical, but that's kind of pretty. And then flip it over and see what it looks like on the other side. And see, and I like it on this side. Also, notice that tissue paper has a smoother side and then a not so smooth side. And so printing on one side or the other will give you a sharper or a more muted image, because one side seems to sit on top of the tissue and then the other side seems to soak in and then spread a little bit. So be watchful of that. Okay, so I'm going to take my just Mod Podge or any decoupage medium. I suggest a matte medium, but you can use Puzzle Saver, you can use just any kind of decoupage stuff you want to use. So just kind of move it around to where it looks like you're going to want it. And then what I do, see, now I'm getting all complicated here. I'm just going to take this little tiny flat brush here. It's about a 1-inch brush. Just get a little tiny bit of Mod Podge on the back. And we're just going to paint this on. And you do not need a lot for tissue paper. It's not a lot at all. And at first it's going to look kind of milky, well, and it's okay. It's all right. It's gonna dry clear. So let's just press that down like this. I'm working on a piece of wax paper, by the way. I like the way that you can lift things up from it. Also, parchment paper works nice too. Okay, so now we see we've got our image behind the glass, and now you can just carefully rip around the edge and get rid of all of the excess. And if you don't use a whole lot of Mod Podge, you can do this right away because it won't move your image underneath. If you use too much Mod Podge underneath, you might start pulling the image one way or another. So there we go. So there is our little image behind our glass. And now what I like to do is turn that puppy over and give it just a nice little slight coating just to seal that in on the back. Just like that. And then that way your tissue paper won't rip away. All right, now I'm going to set this one aside to dry for a few minutes, and we will go on and we'll pick something totally different. So here's some script that's really pretty, and I kind of like that. So again, you just grab your Mod Podge, and I've already wiped these off, so there's no glass dust. And if you're afraid of cutting your fingers, or if you're working with a little kid, you know, have them wear gloves. Have them wear like little latex gloves. So I'm just going to place this down about right there. And you can move it around a little bit for just a second, and then you won't be able to move it around anymore. So there's that, and I'm just going to rip around this one. It doesn't take long at all. You can also let these sit for a minute and then rip them off if you're afraid you're going to be shifting your image around on the back of the glass too much. It's okay. You can give it a second to dry. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes, and I don't want you guys to have to wait until everything's all dry. I'll give that a little coating in the back, seal in that tissue paper, and set that aside to dry. Okay, now let's use something totally different. Let's get one of these ladies. Which one do I want? I think I want this one. This lady is super cute. She's super cute. Like I said, this is, 135-year-old paper, a little older than that. Look at the mess I make. Okay, so do I want, yeah, that's kind of cool. So I'm going to kind of cut her face off a little bit, just because I think it looks cool. And I'm going to paint on the back side of this guy. Just a little bit here. Just a tiny, tiny little bit. And then here we go, going to cut her face off. And press that down. And this is, paper. It's not tissue. So it might take an extra second to adhere and dry to the back. So I'm actually going to set this one aside for just a minute while that kind of dries so that I don't mess that up. And let's take some of the dictionary paper. But look at all these different things that you could put behind it. Like I said, the more simpler of an image, I think it'll work out better. So let's take, let's take this guy, and I'm going to wipe it off with a damp cloth. Yes. Ooh, I like that. Okay. And let's paint back. Okay. And I like this right here. Like this, like this, like this. Just like that. And again, I'm gonna set that one aside to dry for just a second too, because that's paper. All right, let's do one more. I think you're getting, I'm sure you're getting the idea here, the gist. So let me pick out one more piece of paper. It's like I look at one, like, no, and I look at one, like, no. This is what takes the longest, is picking out your piece of glass to use. And sometimes they'll have like little chips on them, and that will make it more interesting as well. Now the paper, if it's tissue paper, it will adhere, because that's like a lower level than the rest, but you could definitely just do it on this side where it's all smooth on this side. And then this little chip will distort the image underneath it just a little bit, but not a lot. So I kind of like the raven. Well, I love the raven. Let's just be honest. I love the raven. Oh, I really like this one. Did I already wipe this one off? See, there we go, changing my mind again. Woman's prerogative. Okay. So here we go. I'm gonna use this one. All right, smooth side up. I'm gonna paint the back of this guy. Just a tiny little bit. And let's decide how we want to do the ribbon. Oh, we'll do it like that. Okay. And I'm going to set this one aside for just a second. I think I put a little bit too much Mod Podge on that one. Okay, I'm going to push these over here, get these out of the way, so we can continue to talk about what to do now. All right, so now this guy is dry, and what I'd like to do now, see how pretty that looks? But let's make it better. So you can take some, this is just like metallic wax, and you can find this anywhere. And we're gonna take these, and and you don't have to do this part if you want it to look even more rustic. This kind of almost makes it look like a piece of jewelry, so that's why we're gonna do this. And I'm gonna choose copper. And this is kind of messy. So, and another thing about using this wax, it can get everywhere. So try to hold your image once it's dry, like this, and try not to touch the edges, and then just barely, and remember, some of these edges are sharp, so don't use a sharp one and do this. And just rub that copper right along here, and it kind of conceals your edges. It kind of, I don't know, it just frames it. And if you take your finger and kind of go at an angle, come on, there we go, and you kind of go at an angle, then it'll peek out. It'll peek out from the back, and you'll be able to see it just a little bit on the front. I love the way copper looks with aqua. Kind of a beautiful thing. And the amount of copper you put on is absolutely and totally up to you, of course. And try, if you get any on the front of the glass, try to wipe it away right away, because this stuff has the tendency to just kind of stick. Okay. And then now we're going to set this aside to kind of set up a little bit. But look how beautiful that is. That not beautiful? Okay, I'm going to set this one aside, and I'm going to wipe off a finger. Okay, and now we're going to take the next one. And let's see, this one's nice and dry. And so we can take this one and maybe we're going to choose, I don't know, gold. Let's choose some gold. And we could go around the edges on this guy. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, it's so pretty. Like I said, this part is absolutely optional, but wow, does it just, I don't know, guys, it's really pretty. It kind of makes it, just finishes it off so nicely. So I do suggest this. Makes it look like a piece of jewelry. You could actually use these as jewelry. If you have a drill bit that, you know, will go through glass, I would probably drill it first before I did this. The drilling would not be the last thing I did, but there we go. There we go. Oh, so pretty. Okay. And then let's take the raven. Is he dry? Is the raven dry? Let me wrap. So sometimes, like if I'm going to be doing something with my Mod Podge, I'll just take a piece of saran wrap and I'll just put my brush in it like this. And this will only last for about an hour or so. So you don't want to leave it in there too long, but yeah, but if you're going to be using it on and off, then. So let's rip the excess off of the raven. So see, you don't have to go just nautical things. You can do anything, anything. So here is our beautiful little raven. And I haven't painted him in the back yet. So I need to do that, don't I? Okay. So I finished off tearing off the paper and I put the Mod Podge coating on the back of each one of these. And then what I did was I took some of the clear matte enamel spray and I gave them a spritz on the back and the front to seal in not only the Mod Podge, because Mod Podge can tend to get sticky in humid environments, but it also helps seal in that that gilder's wax too. Alternatively, I bet you could just use some metallic acrylic paint and you could just dab that on as well, and then that dries a little firmer than this wax does, and so maybe you wouldn't have to use this if you didn't want to. So here are the pieces that I have finished. I think the metallic edging really makes it look like a jewel. It makes it look, I don't know, I really like it. I think it's really cool. Okay, so let's play with these for a minute. Oh, and another thing, if you get some of the wax on the top of the glass before you seal it and it seems like it won't scratch off, take a little piece of, this is a magic eraser. You can see it's got stuff on it. It is damp. If you live in the States, you know what a magic eraser is. I'm sorry, if you guys live elsewhere, I'm not sure if you guys call them magic erasers. Oh, I'll have to look that up. If anybody knows, say down in the comments. But this will scrub away that, that metallic wax. Okay, so let me grab some fun things here. All right, what I thought would be really neat is to take some ephemera, that whatever you've got, and you could make little collage bits for your journals, albums, scrapbooks. I think this would also be cool, like on a picture frame. I mean, there's just so many applications, I think, that these would be cool to use as far as like an embellishment. Let me see. So here is like, I think this is Tim Holtz. And you could do something kind of like that and glue that together, and then maybe put this down here or over here. And then we take our sea glass with our little embellishment here. Okay, let me grab my glue. My glue. You could use something stronger, perhaps like glossy accents or something of that nature if you wanted. If that would, let me see how I want to do that. To hold down the glass. So let's put that kind of like there, just like that. And then we are going to add some glue kind of right there. And we're going to lay down this really cool, this mesh webbing, right like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and use this on here. I will probably glue it down with some glossy accents later, but at the moment, this will probably hold it okay. So, and then we'll put this, like, just tilt that puppy right in there like that. And then you can take some other things. There are stamps. There are little, move those out of the way. We got some little shell buttons from Pat. We've got little Tim Holtz little things, and I do recommend using glossy accents or something like on there. Look at this little key. Wouldn't that be cute? All glossy accented on the top of that. Oh, so cute. You could fill this, if you really did go on a trip, you could fill this with sand from like a beach that you went to, and then that could be placed right here next to your glass. Scoop those off. Put this on a white background so you can see what in the world I am doing, my dear ones. Okay, here we go. And like that, and then that could be attached. I would put some sand. I don't have any sand. Put that in there, and then, I mean, like here's a stamp. I would use something a little, you could put a little stamp up in here, or maybe down in here like this. And how cute would that be on a book? Right? And you see your little seaweed poking out behind your, oh, it's so cute. Okay, let's try something different with another one. So that's kind of nautical, right? So let's do something a little different. So here is our raven and our lady. And these are some of the what I call the creepy photos from my peculiarly I can't even say it, peculiarly odd ephemera kit. And so there's kind of some funky pictures, but you could definitely take one of these, and let's say on this, and you see how the guy's face is scratched out in that photo? You could totally replace it with a raven's head because that's even creepier. So you could replace his face with a raven's head. Or you could take this little kiddo and you could put some script down in here in the bottom, down like this, and maybe some old dirty muslin down in here to kind of back it up. And you could put that down in there just like that. And we could add one of the little Tim Holtz. You could use one of the little garment pins, and you could pin that on right there at the bottom. Excuse me. And here are the buttons. The buttons are super cool. These are actually made out of shells. And you could put some thread in there, and you could either put it on top of the glass, or you could use it next to the glass with some dirty thread all hanging out, and just make some cute little, I love this key, right? I love layers. So I would probably, again, layer something on top of that. So there is that. Here's the creepy house. you could definitely do the raven down in there if you wanted. Where did I put my, oh, here it is. You could take some old dirty cheesecloth. Who doesn't love old dirty cheesecloth, right? And you could put that down, like down in here like this, and put that raven down here in the bottom. And you can go real simple. You don't have to like totally, you know, make this crazy. You could also take wire and you can wrap wire around, especially if it matches the edge, is really cool. You could wrap these with some wire. It would, you wouldn't see the image underneath it quite as well, but I think in some instances, especially on something like script, where you could definitely tell that there was text underneath there, I don't think it would be as big of a deal. You could use a little Tim Holtz, a little discovery tag down in there. Just some different things would be really cool. I think these add a really interesting dimension to collaging bits that might be kind of fun. And then I have some of these, and they're all falling out, these clip bales, and these are Tim Holtz little clip bales. And what I did was I took one and I opened it up and I flattened a side. And what you could do is you could take one of your pieces, especially if it has paper on the background and you can't see all the way through it, you could wrap some clip bales and glue those on around the edges. I'm on camera. There we go. And make it look like it is, you know, like a piece of jewelry has the little prongs that come over it. And that you could wrap like 3 or 4 around here before you glue it down. That would be super cute. You could take some ATC size cards and you could use these for pockets. And so let's just find one. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, I want something with a different background. Try not to match up the background. Like if you're going to use a teal piece of glass, try to use a totally, you know, try not to make it too matchy because then it wouldn't show up as well. I would definitely ink around the edges of this, and then you could add your little lady's face over here poking out the side. Again, if you wanted to layer this up with a little bit of cheesecloth. You could sew around the edges first if you wanted, and we could hang a little tag off of the bottom with one of the, you know, one of the little, some people call them bulb pins, I call them garment pins, and then you could sew some buttons over here in this corner, and then you could glue this onto a page of your journal to make a pocket. I would take some corner chompers and I would chomp around one edge, and personally, of course, I would sew around it first and ink it and then do this, but how pretty is that? It's just gorgeous. Okay guys, I am going to make one of these and put it in a real life example in a journal, and I'll come back and I'll show you real quick what I came up with. Okay, if you guys remember Angela's book from yesterday, I was just about to put this in a box and send it off into the mail to her, but she likes teal, and so I made a little collage pocket for her in the front, and I used the picture from the Peculiarly Odd ephemera kit, and I sewed around the edge, and I chopped this corner, and I added the cheesecloth, the dirty cheesecloth, and the little raven glass with a story with some little twine on there, and then a couple of vintage shell buttons also with some twine behind them. So cute, right? So I could see, and then this is what it would look like if you put some stuff in that pocket. So I could see how you could make little collagey things for I mean, all kinds of applications, and I hope this is helpful to you. I hope this is something that you like and maybe you'll use in your projects. And if you do, let me know. I'd love to come and see what you do. And I guess that's about it. Oh, and FYI, I think I like something like glossy accents to adhere things down, because I noticed after now it's not a big deal, but after I glued this one down with just the Fabrifix, it kind of muted the image just a little bit. Not a huge amount, but I definitely would not use like tacky glue or something like that with a water-based adhesive, because I think it would smear your image unless you used like Stays On or something like that. So be careful with that, and maybe test it out a little bit on your tissue before you would even go through with making your glass pieces. All right, guys, thank you so much for playing with me today, and I hope to have many more little tidbits for you guys. I think this video is going to end up being kind of long. So maybe not little tidbits. Maybe this is long and drawn out and rambling tidbit. But I wanted to make sure that you knew everything and that you got the whole concept. So that's why it's kind of long. And Angela, I hope you don't mind that I used your book to make a little spot at the front. Yeah. Okay, guys, I will catch you all very soon, early next week in the next video. Bye, guys.